Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Brent Frazee. I used to be the outdoors editor for the Kansas City Star. I worked for the Star for 36 years. I retired in 2016, and I've been doing programs for Mid-Continent Public Libraries ever since that time. I freelance different things. I write articles for other publications, and I do blogs and just a number of different things. I love the outdoors, and we have a lot of fun with these programs that I do for Mid-Continent. Today is something that I discovered almost by accident with doing all these other things like hiking and hunting in the springtime for turkeys and things like that, or going fishing, going down some of these woodland paths to some of these rivers and creeks. I discovered the beauty of wildflowers and just the stunning display that Mother Nature puts on in the spring, and then again in the summer and the fall. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some of the places where you can go and see these wildflowers and enjoy spring, enjoy nature. I will offer one caveat. Look out for the ticks, especially. Use some spray, because a lot of times when you're going through down these woodland trails or whatever, you're brushing against some plants that do have ticks on them. So kind of be aware of that. That's one unpleasant thing about hiking in the springtime. So anyway, show me wildflowers. I love the display that Mother Nature puts on in the springtime. You know, we all, or a lot of us, have our own gardens where we have domestic flowers and everything. But for those of you who have never been out on a trail in the wilderness or whatever, imagine your little flower garden. Imagine that times 10. With just acres of wildflowers and just a beautiful display. I mean, just from delicate woodland species to the colorful grassland species. They'll start blooming in early April. They'll continue into early fall. The woodland species are the ephemerals. They bloom first, but they last for only a short amount of time. The open or grassland species, they often are the most colorful, and they'll start in June, and then they'll last all the way into early fall. So you have these wildflowers they'll sprout and show themselves in different settings. Some of the facts we're told. Look at how beautiful that is. Species for every soil type. Some grow in shallow, rocky soil. Others prefer deep, rich soil. The bloom is controlled by soil temperature, day length, and location. Fire historically has been a key to the production of wildflowers. It disturbs the soil and it creates new growth. One thing that I always use as an example is if you remember the wildfires that some of the national parks had about a decade ago. People were just so upset, and all the timber and underbrush that was destroyed. But that was in the long term, it was a great thing. It encouraged, after that, after the soil was scorched and everything, the new growth was just fantastic. All types of new sprouts and new trees coming up. And it really, I mean, some of these areas are more lush than they ever were. And that's nature's way. I mean, years ago, that was a way that the prairies recharged themselves. Lightning strikes would hit the prairies and they would burn for miles. And, of course, it did burn some structures down, some people living on the prairies. But for the prairies themselves, it was a great thing. It recharged the prairies, and we're still seeing that today in some areas. The ephemeral species bloom first, but they don't last long. Up to maybe a month after they've bloomed, they're gone, and they're hard to see where they had even been. I'm amazed at some of the woodland species that I will see, like out at Parkville Nature Sanctuary. Some of the areas where there had just been beautiful wildflowers only like a month earlier. They're gone. They're just gone, and it's hard to even see where they had been. So it's one of those things with don't wait too long. Don't wait too long if you're going to go visit to see them, because the woodland species, they disappear fast. So you ask, what's the timing? What's a good time to get out and view some of these wildflowers? For the ephemerals, and we're talking about the woodland species, mid to late April is a great time to go visit if you're looking for these. And you can even see them into early May. But people ask about the timing. What is the timing on that? Why is that? Well, again, it's soil temperature and things like that. But think about why we're talking about May into early May at the latest for these the woodland species. Well, if you think about it, the trees in the forest have not leafed out yet, and the forest floor is getting much more sunlight, and that helps the wildflowers bloom. They thrive in that sunlight, and they thrive with a warming soil temperature. After they get leafed out, and the leaves are guarding it, there's a lot of shade in the forest. And some of these species of wildflowers thrive in the direct sunlight. So that's one more reason why the spring months are the best for the woodland species. If you're just looking at a general overall time for getting out to see wildflowers, the month of June is a great time. That's when the coneflowers and the bright colored milkweeds and prairie clover, they'll just be brilliant. They will be brilliant. And this is mostly in a prairie or a grassland type of setting. Early fall is a close second. And why do I say that? Because that's a great time to see all the pollinators using the wildflowers. All kinds of colorful butterflies to see lighting on these beautiful wildflowers. It really makes quite a scene. It's a great way to spend a day like in late August into early September. It's a great time to view butterflies and to see the wildflowers that they're feeding on to get nectar. September 20th historically is the peak of the monarch butterfly migrations. So that's something to keep in mind. The wildflowers will be there already, and the monarchs show up, and it's just a great time to view these, to view not only the wildflowers, but also the pollinators like the butterflies and the different types of bees and other insects. So great time to be out. And it's kind of a way to say goodbye to summer and to get out and enjoy the start of fall. Kansas City area hikes. You don't have to leave the metro area to find hiking trails leading to beautiful wildflowers. That's a fact. I mean, some people think, oh, I got to travel way out of the city to view wildflowers. They picture going to the Ozarks or someplace like that to view the wildflowers. Not true. You don't have to go that far. We're going to tell you some places where you can, just close to home, or even right in the city itself or in the suburbs, where you can go and see gorgeous wildflowers and have great hikes. And they're accessible. It's not like you have to travel or have to go long distances on a hiking trail to find these beautiful wildflowers. They're very accessible on small, short hikes. So they're suitable for the family. And if you want to teach the kids about nature and what goes on in the fall and what goes on in the summer, great way to do it. Virtually any public area with good woodlands will have wildflowers. And remember, we said for that, when the woodlands, April into early May is your time to go and visit those type of areas. If you want to see prairie-like landscapes, plan a trip in June to see the wildflower displays. So you have some options here. There are good options. This is one of my favorite. This is an absolutely fascinating area, and it's right in a busy area. This is Bluebell Valley. And look at the gorgeous bluebells in this slide. This is right off the hiking trail. You don't even have to leave the hiking trail to see this. This is off the Rock Island Rails to Trails section in Jackson County. And by that, I mean, this is where the Rock Island Railroad used to go years ago. It's been abandoned and no longer in use by the railroad, but it's now part of they've turned it into a hiking trail. And it's beautiful. This section is really beautiful. For directions on this, it's off Bannister Road. You take the Northfleet Road exit south, and you go on Northfleet becomes 98th Street. It ends at the trailhead for the Rock Island Trail. Believe me, it's worth it's worth a visit. It's over an acre of bluebells off of the trail, and you can see what that's like here. Mid-April is generally the peak of the ephemeral bloom, but after that, you know, probably 2 weeks after that peak, and again, that puts it in, say, into early May. And again, don't delay. I mean, if your spouse says, well, we're busy this weekend, let's do it next weekend or whatever, good chance you'll miss it, because this is a very time-sensitive deal where as soon as it starts to warm up in April, get out and look, because there's a chance the bluebells will be up, and it's a scene that you don't want to miss. It really is. This is a pet area of mine. I love the Parkville Nature Sanctuary. It's it's less than a couple miles from my house in Parkville, Missouri. It's off Missouri 9 and 12th Street in downtown Parkville. 115-acre nature sanctuary. It's managed by the city of Parkville with the help of the Missouri Department of Conservation. Lots of hiking here. That's the main attraction here. 3 miles of hiking trails. That tells you something. It's accessible for anybody. There are a few areas where there's a pretty steep incline, but most of it is very family friendly, even for the little ones. I mean, they can get out on these hiking trails, and you'll think you were 50 miles from downtown Kansas City. Instead, you're about 10 miles from the hustle and bustle of downtown Kansas City. I might add, on the hiking trails, no dogs allowed. This is a wildlife preserve. There's a lot of wildlife in there, a lot of deer, a lot of turkeys and things like that. They don't want people with the dogs disturbing the wildlife, so there are no pets allowed. The centerpiece of this area is a beautiful waterfall, which you can see here, and it looks like something you would see in the Ozarks. It really does. It's so amazing, and so many people go to the nature sanctuary to see this waterfall, and you just naturally think that you're going to have to hike a ways to get into it, but the hike is probably a half a mile. That's it. It's not a paved trail. It's a natural trail, but it's level, just a slight incline to get up to the area, the overlook, where you can see this beautiful waterfall. Again, this area features a winding stream, old growth forest, prairie grasses, and a butterfly garden with wildflowers. So you can also see beautiful wildflowers pop up early along the woodland trails and everything too. So really is a great place to see wildflowers. And there is a butterfly garden, which consists of all wildflowers. And you can, with a bench right there, where you can just sit down and just enjoy the butterflies flocking to this garden. It really is a beautiful area. Hidden Valley Natural Area. This is in Hidden Valley Park, 4029 North Bel Air in Kansas City. It's north of Missouri 210 and west of Interstate 435. It's a 82-acre natural area managed by the Kansas City Parks and Recreation. Features old growth forest, as you can see in this picture of this beautiful area. Real rugged landscape. It reminds a lot of visitors of the Ozarks. 3.2-mile loop trail takes hikers through the woods to a lookout over a wooded ravine. And from there, the trail leads to a cliff overlooking the Missouri River and 210 highway. So you're close to civilization, but when you get out in this beautiful area, you'd swear you were miles away from all the traffic and concrete. So great place to see, especially some early wildflowers, like we're talking about April type wildflowers. So keep this in mind. It's a great place to visit. Jerry Smith Park, 139th Street and Prospect in Kansas City. It's 360 acres of prairie, rolling hills, forests, and a 3-acre lake. The interesting thing about Jerry Smith Park, it has the largest tract of remnant prairie in the city limits of Kansas City. Has a 13.6-mile crushed limestone hiking trail. So it'll take visitors through grasslands, a hardwood forest, and a piece of history, remnants of a working farm. There's some of the old farm machinery and even some of the farm sheds and things that they used back years ago. They're still out there and visible for people taking a hike in that area. Also, the trail also leads along a small lake. It's managed by the Kansas City Parks and Recreation Department and the Missouri Department of Conservation. So definitely worth your while to go visit this too. Isley Park Woods. I get a kick out of this. It's off Lover's Lane in Excelsior Spring. This is a tiny little hidden jewel. It's a 15-acre natural area managed by the Excelsior Springs Parks and Recreation Department. It's rich hardwood forest, and it's located just a hop, skip, and a jump from the Elms Hotel. So a lot of people use this as just a little place to decompress. It has hiking trails, 2 hiking trails, one of them paved, one of them unpaved. They only total about a mile. So that tells you that they're very, very accessible and very user friendly. In the spring, they're just full of wildflowers, blooms of Dutchman breeches, trout lily, toothwort, spring beauty, and bloodroot. They fill the forest slopes. So again, April is the time to visit into early May, but just if you're looking for a little solitude and looking to just get a little break from city life and get into nature, if you're up this way, Excelsior Springs, what a great place to visit just for a short hike. Blue River Glades Natural Area. What a neat place this is. Look at this photo. Does that not look like something in the Ozarks with the limestone outcroppings and the little bluffs and the craggy little trees and things? I think this is just really a neat little area. To give you an idea where this is, it's just south of Swope Park. From the intersection of Interstates 435 and 70, you take 435 south and exit at Gregory Boulevard. You go west on Gregory for about a mile and then turn left onto Oldham Road. You go just a short amount of time on Oldham Road, and then you turn right on Blue River Road and continue for another mile. There's a small parking lot pull-off on the left or the east side of the road. This is a natural area, again, managed by Jackson County Parks and Rec. It features rare limestone glades ecosystem, one of the most northernmost in the state of Missouri. You'll see these gnarled little chinquapin oaks that are nearly 300 years old. That's just amazing. I mean, and you can see that they don't grow a lot in these rocky areas like that, but they do grow. I mean, they survive. Just the fact that they're 300, some of them are 300 years old. It's just amazing to me. You'll see some of these trees, and like in these photos, they're not tall trees, but they're survivors. They do well in like a real rocky type setting, almost like what you'd see in the Ozarks. So it's a great place to see wildflowers in the spring. There's a prairie area that has wildflowers, and then these areas that are wooded also have wildflowers. So short hike on this one, a 1 mile loop trail, takes hikers through the glade and through the ancient trees. So pretty neat place to visit. Powell Gardens. What a great place this is. This is close to my heart. My daughter, who loves nature and loves the outdoors, and her husband is the same way. They wanted to get married someplace unique and not in a busy city setting or something like that. So they chose Powell Gardens. They have a chapel out there. They have a little chapel out there at Powell Gardens, and they got married in the chapel right as the sun was setting, so it would come in the stained glass picture windows that they have out there in the chapel. It's off Highway 50 in Johnson County, Missouri, about 15 miles east of Lee's Summit. It's actually a botanical garden that features just a real diverse display of flora. Remnant sections of native prairie, well-maintained prairie system, and a well-maintained trail. It takes hikers across trails on prairies and through woodlands. So you can see this. You can see the trail here, and you can see how close the wildflowers are. So just a great place to visit, especially in the spring. I think there's a nominal charge to get in, but it's worth it. And you can, some of the displays you can see of ways that you can plant wildflowers in your backyard, in your gardens and stuff, are well worth going out there. Summer beauty. Look at these beauties, these butterfly milkweed, and that kind of says in itself what they attract and everything. You'll see, especially in early fall, you'll see these beautiful flowers, but you'll also see beautiful pollinators, such as butterflies and bees, swarming to these areas. Excuse me. June is a good time to see them in full bloom. Other summer blooms include coneflowers, coreopsis, and purple prairie clover. So June is a good time to visit some of these grassland areas and view some of these beautiful wildflowers. If you want to take a road trip, highly recommend going to the Dunn Ranch Prairie. It's near Hatfield in northwest Missouri. It's a 3,258 acre nature area, and it's dominated by the largest remnants of prairie in the state of Missouri. Of the 2,281 acres originally purchased by the Nature Conservancy, more than 1,000 acres have never been touched by a plow. Now think about that. That's pretty impressive. Why has it never been touched by a plow? Well, it's not just the goodness of people. I'd like to think that, but no, it's because it's rocky soil, and it's not fit for development. It's fit for the growth of prairie. And that's why it's been left alone. And as long as the Nature Conservancy owns this place, it's going to stay that way. It's a prairie setting with beautiful wildflowers. And I'll look at what the prairies look like during the settlers' times. They've stocked this area with bison. There still are some native prairie chickens out here. One of the few places in the state of Missouri where you'll see prairie chickens out on the prairie. And then just some beautiful prairie songbirds that you'll see out here too. So really is a neat place. It's a great place to visit. It's managed by the Nature Conservancy to preserve a declining ecosystem. Wildflowers in the city. You know, you wouldn't think of that, but boy, oh boy, there's some neat places to visit. The Anita B. Gorman Conservation Discovery Center at 4750 Troost Avenue in Kansas City. That's pretty much the heart of the city. And they have this Discovery Center. It was built to kind of introduce inner city people to the beauty of the outdoors. Maybe they don't have access to taking a trip down to the Ozarks or anything like that, but they'd still like to, you know, be educated about the outdoors. This is a great place. On the grounds, there's 8 acres of natural areas with paved and natural trails through different ecosystems like the forest, woodlands, prairie, and wetlands. Grounds are filled with demonstration beds to show how native plants can be used for home landscaping. And 1 or 2 times a year they sell native plants. They sell native plants that were raised here at the Gorman Conservation Center. So it's a neat area, and they show you how to build your own wildflower garden and in your backyard or whatever. Indoors, there's nature exhibits and programs for kids and adults. They're held regularly. Again, get on their website for the Missouri Department of Conservation, the Anita B. Gorman Conservation Discovery Center, and do a search on that, and that'll have updates on where some of their programs are going to be held. Planting a backyard garden. Look at this beautiful butterfly honing in on this wildflower, getting its nectar. Either purchase the wildflowers from a commercial nursery or plant your own. Consider the need of each species before planting. And that is important, because if you have an area that is in shade and you buy a wildflower that needs full sun, it's not going to do very well, and vice versa. So consider the needs of these, what type of wildflower you want to plant, and they'll flourish, and you'll get some great visitors, like some of the great pollinators. Consider either perennials or annuals that self-seed, so that you won't have to replace the plants every year. Now, again, you might want to take a screenshot of this for a full guide to wildlife gardens. Go to the University of Missouri website and I'm not going to repeat this long website, but I'll leave this slide up there for a little bit, and you can use this. It's the best resource that I've seen for, doing your own wildflower garden and what some of these different wildflowers require. I'll leave this up here for a few seconds and we'll move on. Okay. The best pollinators. The ruby-throated hummingbirds feed heavily on the nectar from the wildflowers. Look at this beautiful little guy. I mean, they prefer red or orange tubular flowers but they'll also take native plants like cardinal flower, jewelweed, royal catchfly, fire pink, wild bergamot, trumpet creeper, and columbine. So if you plant some of these flowers in your backyard, you know, you will get some visits from hummingbirds. In fact, I had some wildflowers in my backyard. I also have a lot of feeders for for hummingbirds, and they would come to my red wildflowers a lot more than they would to my feeders. So that'll tell you something. And if you're into taking photos, makes a great photo to have a colorful wildflower and have the little hummingbird using its beak to get some nectar from the wildflowers. So pretty fun. That is my last slide. So I appreciate you joining us for this. Tell your friends about this, about our some of our programs on our YouTube channel, and you know, check out some of the things going on in the great outdoors. We're happy to bring it to you, and again, thanks for tuning in, and have a great day in the outdoors.